We're Brianna and Keely, and you're listening to the Where We Live podcast, where we discuss all things home.
You'll hear from us on residential real estate, the process of buying and selling a home, design trends, entrepreneurship, faith, and much more.
In this episode, let's discuss how to choose the right realtor to sell your home. While most realtors help clients buy and sell homes, interviewing a listing agent is a different process than selecting one with which to buy. Don't worry, an agent can be great at both, but we want to make sure you know what to look for.
This episode is a part 2 to episode 39, where we talk about how to select the best buyer's agent. Even in a hot market like the one we're in today, the best listing agent is going to sell your home faster and for more money. So if you're thinking about selling your home, listen up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So you've decided to explore selling your house. A lot of times that can be extremely overwhelming, just as overwhelming as buying a house can be. So now what? And we're going to kind of talk you through that today. The first step is you need to make sure that you find a good listing agent.
Yep, because they're going to help walk you through and show you the rest of the steps. So that is where we need to start. So we're going to tell you how to even begin with finding a good listing agent.
So you've obviously bought a house if you have one to sell for the most part. I know there's unique scenarios where you would be selling first, but for the majority of us, we're selling second. And so absolutely make sure that you call the agent that helped you buy. They're going to be very knowledgeable about the property from the buying process, and they're going to have a leg up on already knowing you, how you like to work, and specifically things about your house that others just might not know.
Now, that is assuming that you had a good experience with the agent that helped you buy your home. So if you have all of the confidence in the world with that agent that you already have a relationship with, that you've already worked with, then it is okay. We would say it's okay if you have all that confidence to go with it and talk to only that agent. However, on the flip side, if you have any hesitations, if there was anything that really disappointed you when you worked with them last time, we are going to encourage you to please call some other agents to interview. That doesn't mean you're not going to end up choosing the agent you already have a relationship with at the end of the day, but we definitely want to encourage you to see what else is out there and interview some others so that you make the right decision.
And if you want to interview somebody else, the easiest way to do that is get referrals from friends, from family. We can help you. The RE/MAX network is worldwide. So we do this all the time where we call and kind of put agents through their paces in an interview to try to connect people. So let us know how we can be of service to you in that process. But let's talk, okay, so you have these agents that you want to interview, or just the agent that you used before. You still need them to come to your house and do what's called a listing appointment. Okay, so almost all agents are going to expect this. If they don't, that's kind of concerning probably. And so your agent's going to come over for what you call a listing appointment. This is usually going to last around an hour and a half, and they're going to walk through your home. You guys are really going to discuss the updates that you've made, items that are on your honey-do list, things that have massively happened while you've been living there that maybe they're not aware of. And your agent's going to then share with you what they're going to do to get your home prepared for market and to get it sold, because that's what matters to you.
And that's likely the most important part of this process of choosing an agent, is in the listing presentation, them sharing with you what they're going to do to get your home sold, to market and sold. That's, I think, going to be the differentiating factor. That's the one that I would make a choice on. Let's say that.
Absolutely. And just to give you a heads up, I'm sure you're going to be expecting to talk about pricing right then. Now, if this agent is new to your house, has never been in your house, they may not be fully prepared to be able to talk nitty gritty exactly how you should price your home, because we should be pricing it apples to apples based on homes that look and function and have the exact same, or at least similar features that yours has. So an agent that has worked on it before likely will come prepared with a pricing presentation. Somebody else may get back to you kind of shortly after your appointment. But what we want you to know is that if you already have a pricing expectation, so if there's a number in mind that you're like, I must sell my house for, or I really, really would like to sell my house for, please tell your agent. You need to let them know that. They're going to be your partner on this. And so they need to know where you're coming from so that they're not set up to fail by something that you just didn't disclose to them.
And again, that is an if. It is not an expectation of ours that you have a number in mind already. We're here to help you with that. But if you already do, please please share that. Don't just wait and see, oh, are they going to hit my expectation? We need communication, and we need to know what you're already thinking. It's going to help the process and the relationship greatly to share that. So please do.
And honestly, okay, this is real honest from us. A great agent is going to give you feedback on whether that's realistic. Yes. And here's what I will tell you. If you only have an agent that says, yes, that's fine, we'll price it exactly as that, that's maybe more of a red flag if they don't have data that backs that up, because you need someone that's going to shoot you straight every step of the way. And that's going to be the same when they're talking to agents on the other side about people that are trying to lowball offer you or whatever it is. They need to be able to say, no, this is exactly why we've priced it where it is, and fight for that for you. And so this beginning interview process conversation about whether or not your price is realistic is going to tell you a lot about how they will interact with people on the other side when you're not present. So just be aware, you don't want just a yes man in this process, right? You want someone that is grounded in the data, that knows their market, and that is going to tell you what they think is realistic for your house. And we're all on the same team here. We want to sell your home for the most money for you. We want to sell it as quickly as we can if that's your priority. And so just keep in mind, just because an agent says they can sell it for more, doesn't mean that's necessarily true. So we see this all the time.
It's such a great point. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's part of why we want you to share your expectation with us if you have it, so that we can all be realistic and get on the same page. Because if we're not realistic about pricing, the rest of this process will not go well for you. And we want it to go as well for you as possible. So you've done your homework, you've either have all the confidence in the agent you've previously worked with, or you've interviewed a few and you've chosen one that you like and you trust. Once you've chosen that agent, you'll sign a listing agreement. So this puts the wheels into motion. Even if you're not selling immediately, maybe you're selling 6 months from now, there are still things we're going to be working on with you in these 6 months, and we'll do that once we have a listing agreement signed.
A great agent, like we talked about before, is aligned in your mission, which is typically to sell your home as fast and for as much money as possible. If you have other priorities like staying in your home for longer, making sure that your kids finish out the school year, but then you also know that your home is sold, let your agent know that, because that's going to change the strategy on how you kind of approach going to market, how you approach negotiation, and they'll be able to tell you what are market expectations for general days on market for your house, how many showings you should generally expect, all of those kinds of things. So you got to trust this person, and you need to be transparent with them. And if there's things that you don't like about the process, like, you need to be honest with that too, because this is a team effort, especially when selling your house. And so they really need to know that.
Mm-hmm. One of the most important things that a great listing agent is going to work with you on is appropriately pricing your home. We talked briefly about that in the listing appointment and how to find that number. Mm-hmm. But we want to talk about why that's so important. So, it may be a misconception that in this hot market, you can just ask whatever you want for it. Okay, to get the appropriate price, the agent should have visited other homes nearby to understand, because photos do not tell the whole story. So they need to be able to have seen some homes to get a good idea of that pricing. But if you're not priced appropriately, right? This is something that I always share when we have this discussion, is if you price your home $50,000 above where it actually should be at the end of the day, you're not apples to apples with other houses on the market at that price point. So the buyers looking at that in that price bracket probably will never even come to see your house, because the other homes at the same price are better. Okay, so your house isn't even going to get seen. Okay, great. So we'll just correct it. So if that happens, then we'll take a price reduction and we'll get down to where we should be. Well, what you want to share, Keely? What's the problem with that?
This is like a death nail, guys. I mean, not that you can't recover from this, but you just got to be aware of how poorly this can affect you. People that overprice their homes typically stay on the market for longer and end up getting less for their houses. And that's because, and you've seen this from the buyer side, if you bought a house, people assume that longer days on market means that there is something wrong with the house. They don't automatically assume, oh, it's just overpriced. They say other buyers have rejected this property. No one else has bought it, especially in this hot market. I'm seeing, like, if things have been on the market 2 weeks, people are like, what's wrong with it?
Let's lowball it.
And so that's exactly the mindset. is, okay, well, we're just going to, these people must be desperate. There's no one interested in their house. And so I'm just going to give them the lowest offer that we can. And let's see how this goes. And that is the opposite of what you want. We want your home to show up at the right price, look great against the competition, and potentially create a bidding war. That's going to get people invested in bidding up your house. They're emotionally now pricing your house, which is good for you, as opposed to looking at it sit on the market and now you're dragging on the amount of showings that you have and you're not even getting as much money as you should have.
Yep. So to do this appropriately and price appropriately, your listing agent is going to put together a market analysis for you. Now this is going to include data about homes that are similar and nearby that have recently sold. Now, not only homes that have recently sold, but also homes that are currently on the market, because that's your active competition.
Yes.
And in addition to that, homes that have expired. Now, we don't have a lot of expired listings at the moment in this market, but we do, and it happens when somebody has overpriced their home. So that tells us, if we see something that is expired, that the market has rejected that. There is not a buyer to purchase that home. So that is going to help us bring more data and more color to the story to appropriately price your home.
And if you don't know what an expired listing is, when you sign a listing agreement with an agent, it's for a set amount of time, so typically going to be like 6 months. Mm-hmm. And so if we get to the end of that agreement and the house hasn't sold and you don't re-up the listing agreement, that's called expired. So it's basically when we see it on our side and see that a home expired, it means that agent failed to be able to produce what the homeowner was expecting. And so we want to know, okay, the market didn't agree with that price or that strategy or whatever that is. And so that's an important piece of data. Now, when we're looking online at comparables, you've got to be aware we're only as good as the information that's provided online. And so quirky factors can really affect the value of a comparable home. It's the reason that we go see things that are on the market that are going to be comparables to your house, because we want to understand if it has something weird going on with it. And so I saw this earlier this year. I went to go price a house. There was a house 3 doors down that was going to be about $100K less than what we wanted to price the house for. And this wasn't an expensive price point. We're in like 400,000. So 100K is a massive difference. And so I went in this house that had been on the market for a while, and I'm like, I don't understand. From the photos, everything looks fine. Well, you walk in the house and there's like inch wide cracks in the drywall, obviously incredible amounts of foundation problems, and it smelled damp and musty, right? There was a lot happening there. Now, you couldn't just see that based on the photos, but it gave me the ability to really talk through that with the appraiser when it came time to talk to buyers. I could speak to why these houses are absolutely not comparable, not apples to apples, to your point, and that if they went and saw it, they would know that for themselves too. So there are some quirky factors that can affect the value. People that know their market are going to be really well versed in what is a good comparable and what is not. Mm-hmm.
So to summarize, we are obviously passionate about this because pricing your home correctly is at the very top of the list of the most important things that you can do correctly for a successful home sale. So again, overpriced. If the house is overpriced, your buyers will compare your home to nicer homes, and they're not even going to come see it. It also means that you're going to sit on the market longer. So once you correct the price, people are going to wonder what's wrong.
Another key part, and I would say the biggest differentiator between a buyer's agent and a listing agent, and again, it doesn't mean that they can't be great at both, but the biggest muscle that we have to flex as a listing agent that we really don't have to flex as a buyer's agent is our marketing know-how. The amount of marketing knowledge required for the job. Homes sell for 2 reasons: price and exposure. And the exposure piece has a lot to do with your agent and their strategy. Mm-hmm. And so it all begins with property prep. Does your agent have a process for decluttering, staging, preparing for photos? We are absolutely meticulous about photos, and it feels like we do a lot of work to get to photo day, because really that's the first impression that a buyer gets. Mm-hmm. We relate home buying a lot to online dating, and if people don't like the photos, they're not swiping left or right, whatever is a good one,
I don't
right?
know which is which either.
And so the same is going to be true with your house, and we want to make sure we make a good first impression.
Yep. In addition to the first impression is just a great property description. These are the words that buyers will read after they've passed the photo test, right? So they swiped the correct way. I think it's right. I don't know.
Can you tell we've been out of the dating scene for a while?
They swiped right. I hope it's right. And now they're going to read the bio. Okay, is this intriguing? Is it not? That's important. Those are the basics, the photos, and then the property description. We have some secret sauce that we do a lot in addition to that. We're not going to get into our secret sauce here on such a public platform. If we are in the room presenting a listing presentation to you, you can guarantee we're going to tell you what that secret sauce is, because we need you to know what we're doing to market your home. And so that's exactly what we're telling you to look for, is look for what is that agent doing that others may not be doing to help get your home sold, not only for the right price, but exposure is so important.
And we do a lot of online marketing because that's where the majority of buyers are starting their search, if not all, nowadays. And so that is extremely important. You need to be on board with how your agent is going to market your property and the level of exposure that you feel like you're going to get. There are a lot of moving parts in getting a home ready for market. So we've talked a little bit about that. You need to make sure that your agent is very process oriented and organized. I know that sounds kind of like everyone in an interview says they're organized, right? But you're really going to get into the nitty gritty in that interview about what is the process, because they need to keep you updated along the way on what needs to be done. This is a team process. So as a seller, right, you're typically living there. There's a lot to do in terms of managing that. So you will have a list of to-dos, and then your agent will have their own list of to-dos. And so a great agent is going to make it clear what both of our responsibilities are, where it falls, which plate, and they'll do regular check-ins to make sure you're hitting the timeline to get the house to market. I always say our job as agents is to like raise the flare when something's urgent and has to be done like right away. And so they're going to make sure that you're on time so that we get the desired result.
Yep. And then also, I think this might go without saying, but we're going to say it just in case. Your agent needs to be a great negotiator. Okay, you're literally hiring them to help you negotiate. And most people do not have a lot of experience with negotiating. It's not something that they do in their everyday life beyond where are we going for dinner. That might be a negotiation. This negotiation is a bit different. So you need to hire somebody that is going to help you through that. When the offer or multiple offers start rolling in, this agent should help guide you to the best offer, because it's not all about the price point. And even if you're just comparing all of the price points, you're going to miss a lot of the other details that might make one offer much stronger than the other offers, and it could cost you money at the end of the day, or it could put you at a higher risk for that buyer backing out.
Absolutely. They're going to advise you on negotiating and quantifying those details. What does this actually mean to me? We always say the most important thing to a seller is not just the price that you're giving them, but can you actually close and give you that price, right? There are a lot of issues in the contract process where a buyer could potentially back out or not actually be approved in the way that they should. And so we want to get you the offer that is the most secure for the most money so that you can move on in your buying process and whatever's next for you.
And it doesn't end at selecting the correct offer. We are negotiating all the way to the closing table, right? So after the buyer gets the home inspected, there's likely going to be more negotiation off many more points, right? So it's you think, okay, well, I can figure out the best offer myself. They're representing you so much more than that, and there's negotiations all the way until we've closed.
Yeah, we know we can be a little sneaky on the buy side, putting stuff in that is favorable to our buyers, and so you want to, as a seller, know what you're looking out for. Mm-hmm. So what if you're buying and selling at the same time? That's going to be most of you, right? I mean, when you're selling, the majority of us are going to be then buying their next house. And so we would highly recommend using the same agent, someone that is good at both sides, which a great agent should be. Juggling buying and selling is very, very common. So nothing to be intimidated by. You can do this, but it needs to be the same person to ensure that it goes smoothly. It's not that it can't be done with two separate people, but the logistics of it, the communication of it, all of that is just going to be so much less stress for you if you're doing it all with one agent. So make it easier on yourself, and that process is handled by one partner who you like and trust and who is in your corner.
On the logistics part of that, I would say it's also some negotiation, right? You might be negotiating on the purchase based upon some of the details of your sale, and maybe it's timing, etc. And if those are different people, they're not even going to know that is some specific negotiation would have been favorable to you. So that's just one small example.
Can you tell we love negotiating, pricing, marketing?
Very
there's a lot
important
there.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, this wraps up our 2-part series of how to choose a realtor. If you're thinking about selling your home, please reach out to us via wherewelivepodcast.com. At the end of the day, the most important thing is that you choose an agent you like and that you trust, and then trust them through the process.
Don't forget to listen to episode 39, What to Look For in a Realtor When Buying a Home, and let us know if you have any further questions.
That wraps up another episode of the Where We Live podcast. We want to hear which topics interest you most for our upcoming shows.
Head on over to wherewelivepodcast.com to continue the conversation in our Facebook group, read our blog, and connect with us. Thanks for tuning in.